My next speaker, Keith, will be giving a version of Icebreaker Speech 2.0. He thought back on his life and discovered something. There was a team behind the scenes. Keith likes reptiles and lizards over women. Allow him to tell you about his involvement with dinosaurs. 8 to 10 minutes. Let's welcome Keith.
Thank you, Greg. I went thinking about my life, deep, reflective into my past, as we all do constantly every day during holiday season. But I came up with something. I was thinking, if somebody's looking at my life and they went like, oh, what's Keith all about? They might have these different things going on. But when I was thinking about my life, I was like, there is a thread, a theme, not theme, if you will. I have this idea, I think, that I might be a reptilian. Not to ancient astronaut theory, but Nate's not here. What happened is, I have this affinity to reptiles ever since I was a little kid. Now, nowadays I could call it's a comfortable familiarity. But back when I was a kid, a child, a little boy, it was pretty intense. So imagine you're at your friend's house playing cards, right? And there's groups of people playing cards, and somebody comes up to you and says, well, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is big, and you can tell it's a carnivore because it has 3 toes. But the Ankylosaurus with the spikes, it's good protection against the Tyrannosaurus. But the better protection is the Triceratops with the pokey things and all that. But I really like the Dimetrodon because it's winged back. It gives it a lot of, and you're just going, whoa. and you look, and it's about a 4 or 5 year old boy, and you go, whoa. That's what I was like when my mom had bridge clubs and had groups of people and tables. I would go around there with the bridge club people, the Dinosaurs Rex, but I really like this Ankylosaurus, but the Dimetrodon is really, it's like, oh my God. Now a lot of child, boy, girl, maybe, sure, are into the dinosaurs, but mostly, the little boys like their little lizards, It's always the boy, they're the lizard. And from that, I think, well, that's nothing special. But I have a pet iguana in college, a pet Jackson chameleon. I bought a vine snake from a pet store, even though they said it was venomous. It was on the cheap, but it wasn't venomous at all. But all throughout my life, I had this thing. When my father was transferred to Hawaii, and the whole family comes along, and the first thing I noticed was geckos. I know I'm like trying to catch geckos, and it's always this little fascination with reptiles and things. And what does this have to, is this a good thing? Is this, I don't know. Well, later on, I'm in Hawaii, and I do mail order catalogs because I started getting into collecting. So a collector friend of mine, and we just would order fossils through the mail. Here's a wonderful ammonite fossil. It's polished up. You can pass that around. These are great things that are like millions and hundreds of millions of years ago in the past. As a child, my knowledge of the past was 2 areas. There's Abraham Lincoln, and then beyond that is dinosaurs. That's all I knew. That's my history lesson for it. However, later on it starts to develop where now I'm starting to get scientific names. I'm picking up this. I'm illustrating. I'm like starting to illustrate and draw. And so these things come along with it. And then I don't know if it's just weird because I'm just, is this strange? Now, Christmas, when Christmas is coming up, I wanted this model of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which was styrofoam bones that you assemble. It's much like this little plastic one, right? Just like this, you put little pieces together, much like this little thing, but this is just a small little printed thing. And during Christmas, everyone's opening up their presents, and I asked for it, and I got this Christmas present, so I was all excited. And I pulled it out of the box, and it was a big bunch of styrofoam parts in this big bag. And I walked around going, I thought this was special. Who's going to help me with this bag of bones? Who's going to help me with this bag of bones? Thinking I was like the talk of the town. And nobody noticed me because everyone's opening their presents. I'm just walking around, who's going to help me with this bag of bones? I'm like, this is nuts. But later on, it starts to get a little bit more serious, right? In the sense of, I was on over in the mainland, actually in Montana, which has a lot of Tyrannosaurus Rex. And if you want to buy some Tyrannosaurus Rex on eBay, you can, even though it's illegal, for about $1.5 million. You can start getting some sets of teeth. It's real big. Well, this one person who was the heir to the Max Factor throne from Germany, liked his fossil dinosaurs, bought 400 acres in Wyoming simply because it had the Morrison Formation, which is a layer of rock that went to the Jurassic period and was littered with dinosaur bones. In a nutshell, 400 acres of dinosaur bone-rich land. And I found an Allosaurus. Now I found it. How did this happen? So I wasn't being spurious. Now, so there's little tools with, now when I had the fascination with reptiles, I didn't think I want to be a paleontologist, but here we are, amateur, because you could volunteer for free during the summer. Here I am in Wyoming, buzzards flying overhead, super blistering heat, in this place called the TYA site. The TYA stands for, there you are. Because the initial person was walking around, they do hikes looking for spots to dig, and he kicked, and it was a bone. And right before that, he's like, well, you know, wherever you go, there you are, and he kicks and there's a bone. It became the TYA site. We'll have to dig here, put a flag in it. So I was on the TYA site. Now in the TYA site, I mean, this is a crude hammer, geopick. You get like nice ones, and little brushing, and you know the thing of paleontology. Well, we usually use like dental picks. You don't want to break things. And I found something, and I'm doing this. And I'm like, look, I think I found a tooth, because those are the things that are, ooh, a tooth, a dinosaur tooth. So I found a tooth. I'm like, look, a tooth, I found a tooth. I'm like, okay, yeah, calm down, kid, because these teeth are like littered everywhere. And then right next to it, another tooth. So truth be told, this was not a spurious discovery. The two teeth were a part of a premaxillary bone, which is right up here in the skull, premaxillary bone. And the premaxillary bone was connected to all the other bones of a skull. So it turns into, I found an Allosaurus skull, which is now articulated, which means the full skeleton. So it was the full skeleton of an Allosaurus that I found, because I found the tooth. Now I'm also seems like I'm being toot my own horn, but the professor I was digging with, right? This guy was really into self-promoting himself. So when we did this presentation to the university, he was saying, I found an Allosaurus. And I'm like, no, I found the Allosaurus. Allosaurus, if you want to know, it's something that lived in the Jurassic period. It was the precursor for the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tyrannosaurus Rex with the little hands. Allosaurus had arms, and so it could reach out and grab you. So Allosauruses were pretty cool, and Jurassic Park has it wrong. T-Rexes were not in the Jurassic period. They were later in the Cretaceous. The person who did the technical advisement on Jurassic Park, Jack Horner, was a paleontologist in Montana, and he stole this lady's eggs. There's a little old lady in Montana who goes out rock hounding, and she found dinosaur eggs. And there was a nest. There was a little mound of dirt around the eggs. Eggs were in a little mound of dirt. So she grabbed them, put them back into her church, converted into a rock shop factory. And she was the one going, I think they have behavior nesting because of the mound of dirt around the eggs. Jack Horner was flying through the area and walked into her thing and said, oh, this is very fascinating. Learned about this nest. He took the eggs for examination back to a famous university. And the lady never got her eggs back. Jack Horner took the idea, too, of dinosaurs with behavior and wound up in Jurassic Park. It was the lady who came up with the ideas of paleontology. Now, this lady was like 99 years old, and I'm standing there, and she's standing there, and we're talking all this way, and I had to sit down. I was like standing too long, and she's just like standing there. Like she outstood me. There's a lot of interesting things that come out. So, for example, I think how did I get into this? My dad in Illinois would drive to these gas stations, and it was the Sunoco gas station, which has a little green dinosaur. Sunoco! And I would just be, my dad had to get gas, I'm like, look, the little green dinosaur gas station. Because it's a little brontosaurus. And I'm like, maybe that's it. You know? And I'll tell you something about brontosauruses. They don't exist. There's no such thing as a brontosaurus. Yes, amazing paleontology facts. There's no such thing. This guy, back in the day, who wanted to be famous by finding a new species, took a skull from some animal, fossilized dinosaur skull, put it on the skeleton of another fossil, and said, look, I found a new species. That was the brontosaurus. So the brontosaurus never existed. But you know what did exist? The apatosaurus. The biggest, this is the super dinosaur of the world. It's just like the brontosaurus, but it's really, really huge. Well, that little old lady had one in her, they found one and assembled it, a huge apatosaurus. So I found a lot of interesting things. Well, out of all this paleontology and millions of years ago and dinosaur bone finding and all this kind of thing, what do I have for it now? Well, a couple of fossils and everything. But I did have an unusual little revelation of this helped me out with learning science names, got early on into science, got early on into this excavation, how it's done, and they did some archaeology afterwards. And drawing helped me out with drawing, and I was like, started to draw these things. So it really had a big positive influence in my life. And I'm thinking, maybe everybody here has one of those things that they're really interested in or had been that threads throughout their life that has helped you out as well. Thank you. watching the time. Usually I'm way over time.
Take 2 minutes to,
Okay, take a minute to write your evaluations on the paper.
Oh, thank you.